Parshas Tazria. We're in the sixth portion, speaking about saras, skin disease. We spoke about the skin disease that's on your skin, and then we spoke about your hair. So, and that the hair was different, right? Hair, the color turned to yellow, something yellowish, goldish, or if you will. Here. We need everybody has it, yeah? On their phone or on. Okay, good. Now we're going to go into bald spots. All right. Some of you don't have to worry about it. Some others do. Well, you don't have to worry about saras because that's not something we have today. Right. So the question is, how do you look at a bald spot? Do you look at it as hair that was originally there? Or do you look at it as skin? Right? The bets are in. Let's look. Chapter 13, verse 40. If a person here loses his hair, kereach, who, and talking about the back of the hair that he's lost in the back, right? Bald in the back. You have in the Chumash there picture. Actually, yeah. I think it was in its place. I think that's anyway, okay. Or who the person is clean. Yeah. Rashi in 40. Kereach, who tahor, who bald at the back of the head, he is pure. Tahor mitumas nisakin, he's pure from the impurities of nisakim shein nidain, for he's not judged by simani reish has vizakim. Why? Because he's not judged by head or the beard, right? In other words, we don't look at it as hair, even though originally it did have hair there, but now we don't look at it that way. Shame Malcolm Seir, because it was a place of hair. El Laba, rather we see bisimani nega or basar, but we see the signs of affliction on the skin of the flesh. The Seir Lava and a Michya by white hair and a healthy flesh. Remember, we said when you had some kind of whiteness on your skin, either the black hairs turned white, or there was flesh, like healthy flesh in the middle of it, right? Yeah. That was those were two signs of impurity. So that's how we're going to go by, as opposed to turning to yellow, which was what we spoke about yesterday, right? So pisayan, and also spreading. There were three ways: white hair, healthy flesh, or it's spread, right? The person was quarantined for 7 days. And if it spread the whiteness, then that's also a sign, right? Those are the three things that we learned previously. Got it?
Yeah.
41. The imi pas panav yimare dorishay, and if he loses his hair on the front, right? Losing the hair in the front, not in the back. Gibeyachu tarahu. He is bald in the front. That's a gibeah. Kereach is bald in the back. Gibeach is bald in the front. Toharhu. He is pure. Rashi in 41, imipas ponov. Shapua kadkod, the absence of hair from the crown to that of the head that slopes, kalapi ponov, towards his face, gabachas, that's called frontal baldness. Lasha, it's done in mikan bechlal, and the temples on both sides are also included. Mishapua kadkoid, the absence of hair from the crown of the head slopes, kalapi chayrav, and from the crown, meaning from here to the back, karachas. That's called karachas, posterior baldness. Okay. 42. V'im yeh b'karachas v'gabachas. So it's interesting. I mean, I actually don't understand what we just learned. The fact that you are bald, Rashi, the verse is saying that you're pure, right? It didn't say anything was there, right? So how's Rashi know that we should look at it as if skin, not as hair? What's the indication there? The indication would be maybe what's going to come now in these verses. But how does he know from the previous verses? I don't know. You follow my question? The only thing that was said was a definition of baldness, frontal or posterior, and that alone that you are pure. Well, because there was nothing else that was there to make you impure. That why would you not be pure? Right? It didn't say that you had black hair in the white spot or anything of that nature. So where's Rashi getting what he is saying from those words? Okay.
You're saying that it's not going into the specifics about what's going on in the
Yeah, so then where's Rashi coming to make the statement that you are pure based on the fact that you would look at his skin rather than hair, right? It doesn't say anything that happened, just that you're bald. It must be something in the fact that just that you're bald itself can't be what the statement is saying, what the verse is saying, because just the fact that you're bald means nothing, right? Because there's no lesion there, there's no affliction. But now we're speaking about the lesion, the affliction in this verse. Okay, let's see. So if there will be on the back, the posterior baldness, or in the frontal baldness, nega. Nega is affliction, right? Nega is a lesion. Lavan, that's white. Adam, that's red or white, red and white, right? That was one of them. Tsaras perachasi, bikarachtoi, bigabachtoi. So it is tsaras that's spreading in the back or in the frontal baldness. Let's see Rashi. Rashi in this is in 42. Nega lavan adam, a white reddish affliction. Hasuch, it's streaked colors of white and red. Minayim, where do we know this from? Shar Hamaris, other appearances which impure afflictions of the skin are also impure afflictions of the skin of the head when they come in a blend of red and white. Talmud Loimar Nega, because it calls it an affliction. Okay.
But this is what it said in the other verses too, that a white and red one was a sign of the affliction.
Yeah. Okay, Kamara Tsaras. Let's just do the next verse. Hira 43, and then we're going to go back. Where do you have continue? It's interesting here. It's in 43, and in this on my screen over here from Chabad.org, it continues. Okay. Bera Oisei Kohen, and the Kohen shall see, Vihine Seis Hanega, and behold, there's a seis of the affliction, of the lesion. Lavana b'adam demes, it's white and red streaks. B'karachtoi, in the back, or b'gabachtoi, or in the front. Kimaret tzaras or basar. It is the appearance of tzaras, of skin of the flesh. Here's where we know this. Okay. Kimaret tzaras or basar, the appearance the appearance of Tzaras, Ha'omar, that is stated in Parshas in the Torah section, or Basar at the beginning of the Parsha, the flesh of the skin. Adam ki yeh ba'or b'tzaroi. We had in verse number 2, when a person will have on the flesh of his skin. Oma Omar boy, and what does it state over there? Shemetame ba'arba maris. There are 4 different appearances, 4 shades of white that you become impure. V'nida mishnei shavuos, and you're judged in 2 weeks, right, to determine if it is definitely impure. And it's the affliction of the head is not judged like the appearance of tzaras with regard to an inflammation or a burn, which is judged only in 1 week. Nor is it judged like the nesikin, which is the hairy parts, right? The head, where it has hair, or the beard. That is not impure because of the 4 appearances, meaning se'es v'tolda, so the se'es and its offspring, of beheretz v'tolda, so beheretz and its offsprings. Right? In other words, it's judged according to the skin. Right? Okay. 43. Oh, we did 43, sorry. Ish tsaruahu, tamehu. So now, if there is this reddish white se'es lesion in the front or the back of the baldness, ish tsaruahu, that person becomes afflicted. Tamehu, he's impure. Tame yitamenu. The hakoyim bereisha nigay. He shall surely pronounce it. He's impure. The koyin. He has a lesion on his head. Rashi ben reisha nigay seems to be kind of superfluous to say that it. He just made him impure. Why do you have to say the lesion on his head? That's what we're talking about. Bereisha nigay, his affliction upon his head. Ein liela nisakin. I know nothing. I have nothing but nesikin. Where do I know to include the other afflictions of tzaras? Talmud Leimer, Tami Yitamenu, that he shall share, make him impure. Using a double verb means to include, and an infinitive. The Rabbah says kulam, that to include all of them. Al kulam hu oimer, begadav frumim, that his garment shall be rent. Whoa. 1 second. What is it saying? 'This seems to be connecting with the next verse. And now we go and speaking about lesions on garments. And that garments need to be, if there's any kind of affliction on a garment, right? Till now we've been speaking about the body of the person. Now we're going to garments. So this is connecting to the garments in the following verse that, and that's the connection, that the lesions on the head teaching us that you would rend garments in all instances of the various types of afflictions. Let's see the next verse. Okay. 45. V'tzarua asher yesh bo haneged begadov. A tzara, someone who's has tzaras, and he has the affliction, the lesion on his garment. Yiu frumim, they should be torn. Beroisha ye parua, and his head should be unshorn. Vasvam yate, and he shall cover himself to his mustache. The tame yikra, and he should be called out unclean, unclean.
What's not short?
Uncut.
Cut.
Shorn means cut.
Yeah, short means cut.
Unshorn means
Uncut.
uncut. Right? Let's see Rashi. 45. Krumim. Kruim. He has to tear his garment.
I don't see how this is talking about first, I don't see how there could be a lesion on a garment. Second, I don't see how this is talking about that.
Because it says.
But a lesion is like a skin thing. You can't have a lesion on an article of clothing.
That was the miracle that happened. That's why it doesn't happen today.
Okay.
This is not a normal thing.
Okay.
This is not nature taking its course.
Okay.
This is something that's beyond nature.
Okay.
So, it's some discoloration. Well, let's learn. Let's learn. Unshorn, paru unshorn, megudosei, with long hair. Right? Yatem, and he shall cloak himself to his mustache, ka'ovel, like a mourner. Right? Like sackcloth, that you're covering yourself till your mustache. Safam, mustache, se'er sepasayim, the hair of the lips. And in Old French, garnon. Tame yikare. And he's called out impure, impure. Mashmir shuhu tame is to inform others that he is impure. V'yifishu mimeno, they should keep away from him. Let's see further, and then maybe we'll get more clarity. Okay. Kol yemei asher hanega boy yitma tameyahu. Badad yeshe mechuz amachane moishvei. All the days of his legion, right? So that was it about the. 1 second. Now he has to sit badad, right? When you have this lesion, it's referring to all of them, seemingly, right? We haven't stated this yet. We've mentioned it out, verbally, but now the verse is telling us that if you have this lesion, any one of them that we've spoken about, right, on the skin, on the hair, on the baldness, or on the clothing, right, you're impure. You have to be isolated. Badad means isolated. Yeshev, you dwell. Michutz hamachne, outside of the encampment. Meishravayu is his dwelling. Rashi in 46. Badad Yeshev, he has to stay in isolation. Shelo yeshar tmeim yeshvim imay, meaning other impure people should not stay with him. Right? And our sages said, Manishtana. Oh, what the one who suffers from tzaras, what is different, Mishar Tmeim, from all other impure people? Leishe Badad, he stays in isolation. In other words, if you are impure because you came in contact with a corpse, right? You don't go outside of out of all three encampments. You have to stay secluded, right? Alone, isolated. Why this? Because he caused parting. B'lashon hara, by speaking malicious. Bein ish v'ishtai, between a man and his wife. Or bein ish l'reo, or between a man and his colleague. Afu yibado, likewise he has to separate. In other words, he spoke in a way that creates division. So you have to be also divided and isolated and separated. Chutz machana, chutz l'shosha machana is through the three encampments. There's machana shechina, where the sanctuary is. That's right. That's called the encampment of the divine presence. And you have machana levia, where the Levites would be around, right? Because they had to serve towards it. And then you had machana Israel, right? Everyone else. So they have to stay outside of machana Israel. Three encampments. Okay. Now it's interesting. The order doesn't seem to make sense over here because only now we are speaking about going outside of what the consequence is, right? If you become impure, right? We started with a garment. We make this note, right? And then we're going back now in 47 to the garment. Like he interrupts it, right? And it goes back. Okay, I don't get it. You follow my question?
Yep.
The order of the verses. And Rashi doesn't seem to address it. Okay, now concerning the garment, when it will have a lesion of tzaras, right? The beged tzemer, what kind of garment are we talking about? Tzemer is wool, of a beged pishtim or linen. Oy b'shesi of erev, or the threads are prepared by the warp and the woof. The pishtim or the tzemer, whether it's linen or wool. Oy ba'or, or leather. Or b'chol meleches or anything made from leather. Okay. Rashi 48. The pishtim letzemer, shel pishtim or shel tzemer, meaning of linen or wool, right? Because it says ve. What does ve mean?
Or?
No, it means and. Means and. So Rashi explains it doesn't mean and, it means or. Right?
It says and in the text, but Rashi says it's or.
Yeah. And then when it comes to leather, it says o. O means or. Or, right? You gotta be careful what language you're speaking. Right? Oh, what language was that? That was English. Oh, is Hebrew. Ba'or, or in leather. Ze'or, this is leather. That no work was done to it.
Just raw leather.
Yeah. It's not a complete garment. Because then it says, because then it continues the verse, or anything that was fashioned of leather. Or that it's been fashioned, it's been worked over. It's a complete garment. Right? So both. Right? They become right. Now we're telling us how does it become impure? How does it become tsaras on the garment? The verses tell us nega, and it will be the lesion or the affliction. Yerakrak will be rakrak is green, a deep green, dam or deep red, but beged in the garment, or in the leather, or or in the warp and the woof. Those are like how you thread something, right? And the threading of it, in other words, right? Or kli, or in any vessel, meaning garment that's complete of leather. Neged tarasu. It is the lesion or the affliction of taras. And you have to show it to the kohen. Rashi in 49, Yerakrak, Yeroik Shiba Yerukim. It's the greenest of greens. Oh, see, Torah's gone green. Dam dam. Adam Shiba Adum. Reddest of the red.
So this is the color of the Tzaris on the leather or the
Yeah. This is the color of what it's turning
So
to.
strange that
Right. That's why I said it was miraculous. It wasn't normal. It wasn't a normal thing.
yeah, that's what it does actually.
Like a fungus. Yeah. 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 Exactly.
Or mold.
Or mold. Yeah, I don't know. Would you get mold on linen? Is that like possible?
I think you could get.
I guess you could. I guess you could. Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. Vera Kayin, and the Kayin shall see it. It's a nega, the affliction, v'isker, it's a nega, shivas yamim. So just because you have that color doesn't make you actually. Yeah, doesn't make you. It's an affliction. The question is it saras? So just with those colors is not sufficient. What does the Kohen have to do? He has to quarantine you for 7 days, right? Then from the 51, Veraz and Egabi Yamashvi, and then he has to see the Kohen, the lesion, the affliction on the 7th day. Kiposa Negebe Beged, or if then it's spread the affliction, the lesion in the garment of the warp and the woof, or the or the malacha, or in the leather for anything that's done with the leather. You know, there's a finished product, it's worked over, tzaras. It is tzaras. Mameris. Haneged tamehu. That's a new word. Mameris. Malignant, it says in the translation here. What does it say over there? What do you have in your book? Huh? Cute. Okay. Let's see. Rashi in 51. Taras mimeres. It is a degenerative, malignant, or what word did you have?
Acute.
Acute. Taras, Loshen, Silon Mamir. In Old French. A piercing thorn. Or in Old French, pognon. Pognant. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, midrasha, that's a simple meaning. The midrashic interpretation, ten boy me'era, put a curse onto it. Aha, because me'era means a curse. Amena, that you should not enjoy any benefit from this garment. Aha. In other words, it denotes a pain, like a thorn causes a pain, right? So the God interpretation means it's a curse. That's a pain. Okay. What do you do with this now? Now it's spread, right? After 7 days, it's spread. The color is spread. The saraf is a beggar. Now you have to burn the garment. Oh, yeah. It's a shesi, it's a betsemer. Or you have to take the warp or the wool, the threads of the wool, or bepishtim of the linen, or in other words, it's not a garment. You're in the middle of making the garment, right? That's what it means. You're in the middle of threading it. And you got this lesion and it spread, right? In that instance, or it's called or a leather garment, a shiaboy, a nega that has this lesion. Kitzaras memeres, because it is a malignant, it is an acute tzaras, and in the fire you shall burn it.
Wait, so you said that this is if you find it while you're making the garment.
Well, different. No, it's different. Either it's a complete leather garment, or it's a linen garment, or it's a wool garment, or it's in the woof and the warp and the woof. Right? It means it's you're in the middle of making it. You're threading it.
But it's not like the raw materials of it.
Well, I mean, it is the material before it's made into a garment. So it's not raw materials. It's not raw flax.
Yeah.
Right? But it's being threaded now. Okay. So interesting. Rashi, it says saraf is a beged. First he says burn the garment. And the end it says ba'ish the saraf, in the fire you shall burn it. Right? Rashi doesn't pick up on that. But Rashi is a betzemer of pishtim. Wool or linen. Yeah? We're good. 52. Everybody following. Shel tzemer means of wool, because it says bit tzemer. means made of wool, oy shel pishtim, or made of linen. That's a simple meaning of the verse. But the midrashic interpretation of the verse is Yochel, one might be able to think that he should bring the shearings of wool, pishtan, and the bundles of flax stalks, and burn them with the afflicted. In other words, the raw material before it started a process of making. Maybe the warp in the woof is telling us that you started making the garment. But what happens before you started making it? It's also got material. How about that material where you took it from?
Yeah.
Right? So this is what it's saying over here, that stuff that you took it from, right? Do you have to burn that too? Talmud Loimar, the Torah teaches of Be'esh Tisarev. I asked the question, why does it say twice in fire you have to burn it? The beginning of the verse, and Rashi actually is explaining. The verse says, in the fire you shall burn it, you do not require to burn el davar acher ima, anything else with it, but Be'esh Tisarev im kain, if so, matan lamaim, why does the verse say, b'tzemer b'pishtim, in wool, in linen, to exclude the borders of the afflicted garment. Okay, let me explain. So you've got three different things over here. You've got the material that you're making it with, right? Whether it's leather, whether it's linen, whether it's wool, right? Or that's the material and it's already in the process of being made, right? It's not made, but it's in the process, right? You have that. You have the material where you took it from, right? That's not in the process, right? Not in the process, but it's from there. So is it part of it or not? That's the question, right? Do you have to burn that too? Right? And then you have the borders of a garment that are the additional, so like borders meaning you added something to it. That's another issue. Got it? So in over here it says Ba'esh Tisarif, the last words of the verse, it says, it you shall burn in the fire. What's the it? Not the material where you took it from. That doesn't get burnt. Only it, where it's actually in the part that you are using to make a garment, that gets burnt. Now, how about the borders? Does it get burnt? Remember, because it's part of the garment, but it's borders of the garment, it's an additional part. So that's why it says in the verse, oy tzemer, meaning in the wool, or in other words, bitzemer, it means in it, not in its borders, excluding the borders. Got it? Yeah? So again, and let's see it in Rashi. So it says, Talmud Loimar, this teaches, the Torah teaches otherwise. He ba'esh tisarv, it shall be burnt in the fire. Davar acher ima, but nothing else should be burnt with it. In other words, the material where you took it from, right? Maybe you only took half of the material. That part where you took it from doesn't get burned. It's not connected to it, right? So if so, Mal Talmud Loimar, as it tells us, betzemer bepishtim. So bitzemer bepishtim, in the wool, right? So that might include also all of the wool. Says no, that means to lahiti is imre shabai, to exclude the borders of the afflicted garment, shemin minacha, because they're from a different textile, right? You're adding a border, right? You made a garment, and in the bottom you took a different textile, and you put that on the border. That's excluded. Got it? Imre is lashon safa means hem, kamay imra. Amazing. Verse, two more verses. 53. And if the Kain will see, look at it. And behold, it didn't. Remember, after 7 days of quarantine, we're talking about, right? That's when it became, because it spread. But what if the Kain sees it and it didn't spread? Hanega beged, the lesion in the garment, the b'shesiv or in the making of the garment, right? The warp and the wolf. I bechol kli or in any leather garment article. V'tzival kayin. So the kohen will command v'chipsu is asher boy, and they shall wash what had a lesion on it, hanega. These girushivas yom shenis, and he should be quarantined another 7 days. Wash the garment and be quarantined. 54. Last Rashi. That which contains the affliction, one might think that all you have to wash is the area where the affliction is. Talmud Leimar, but it says, that which contains the affliction. On the basis of that phrase, I might think, the entire garment needs washing. That which has a nega, has the lesion. What does that mean? It means the entire garment needs to be washed, right? Not the. It doesn't say wash the lesion. The garment that has a lesion. So it means the entire garment, right? That's what it seems to suggest. I might think that, right? Talmud Leimer, but the verse comes, this is a nega, the affliction. Ha-ketzad. Yichabez min ha-beged imai. You shall wash part of the garment that's with the affliction. We have a contradiction in the verse over here, right? It says, the kohen has to come. Chipsu, you have to wash. What do you have to wash? Es hasher boy hanega, that which has. One second. Make sure I got this straight. That which has the nega. Es asher boy, that which has in it. Meaning, so it doesn't say wash the lesion. It says wash that which has a lesion, which would suggest the entire garment, right?
Be the part of
It would suggest the entire garment, right? That's what it would. Is that clear?
yeah.
No, well, no, that words, right? But then it says, one second, hanega, the lesion, which we will suggest. In other words, there's two ways to these words. Hipsu eskol asher boy hanega. Those words. There's two ways you could read it. That's really what it's, and it's a contradiction the way to read it. Chipsu is asher boy, to wash that which has it. So what has it means the entire garment. But then it says hanega, the. It doesn't say nega, it says hanega, which would suggest ha means the. It means that only. So it's a contradiction. Is it the entire garment or is it only that spot? So what does Rashi conclude? You take around the spot too. So you're taking from the garment. That's what its implication is. I hope you got that. That was very precision idea. You got it? Okay, let's do a sikha from the Rebbe. Famous sikha. I've taught it many, many times. Some of you might have heard it from me before. So let's go back to what we learned originally about skin, which we actually mentioned today, when the bald spot, right? If you get a white spot, and the black hairs turn white, what is that called? Taras. That's called taras, right? Okay. What if you got the white hairs and then you got the white spot?
Not taras?
Exactly. It's not taras. Exactly. So there was a debate. There's a debate on what happens if you're not certain what came first. Suffolk, a doubt, right? You're not certain. What's the ruling?
7 days isolation.
Whoa. I'm not asking you. Not asking.
Oh, okay.
This is it's a
Okay,
it's a Gemara. It's a Gemara. So let's learn the Gemara. Let's learn the Rebbe Sikh on it, and stay tuned. Again, I'm not asking. Okay, because I don't have time now. We don't have enough time that I should be able to give this over and that you should get it. So, okay, just focus at this point. Okay. So it's a debate. You know where the debate is? It's between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Mesivta de Rakia, between the Holy One, blessed be He, and the entire heavenly body of students above. And they argue. Mesivta de Rakia, the heavenly yeshiva says, Tameh, it's impure. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, says, pure. When there's a doubt, talking about doubt. So what do? Heaven doesn't have an answer to this question. So they came down to earth to Rabba Bar Nachmani, who is Echad ben Negoyim ve'Echad ba'Yalais. He was one and unique in these laws. He was like the top guy, right? Whole story about him, because he's alive. How's he going to give an adjudication to the law in heaven? And the Malach HaMavis wanted to kill him. Couldn't kill him because he never stopped learning for a moment. But like King David, it happened. There was a rustle. Something went on, took away his attention, and his soul departed. As his soul departed, he said, Tahar, Tahar, pure, pure. He gave adjudication of the law. That's a story in the Gemara. So the question obviously is, you're all looking like, what's going on over here? This is crazy. Yeah, of course. Until we learn the Rebbe Sikha. How could the Mesivta in heaven argue against HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What does that mean? And how could it be that a man down here, right, even a great man of Rabba Bar Nachmani, come and adjudicate the law? So the Rebbe explains like this. In every argument, there is the right way and the left way, the chesed and the gevura. Chesed will look at things in embracing manner, and the gevura will look at in not embracing, right, and more judgmental in its details, right. Chesed will say whether you deserve or not, you give. It's my birthday, and drinks are on me, whether you're my friend, not my friend. Right? In other words, you're embracing anybody and everybody. There's no boundaries, right? Gvura will say, well, you're getting $20 an hour for the work, but you goofed off for 3 hours. I'm not paying you for those 3 hours that you didn't work. That's a judgment, right? That's not chesed. That's the opposite, right? And so when it comes to halacha, you'll have how you see from the kava chesed of kava gvura, and they're going to become complete opposites. So how do you come to the halachic ruling? Then you need what's called tiferes. Tiferes means beauty, which refers to rachamim, compassion. Compassion is not like kindness. Kindness is without boundaries, right? You're kind. It's your birthday, so you're being kind because you feel that way, right? It's not about you; it's about me, right? Compassion is saying, really, you're not deserved. It's not coming to you. But out of compassion, I'll give you. That's, you're making a judgment. Chesed doesn't make a judgment, right? So there's a judgment here, but yet you're giving. So that's how every debate that in Torah, the third opinion that is what we call the hachra, the decisive opinion, is not an opinion that is taking a side. It's actually incorporating both sides. Both opposites. Okay? That's every argument. So comes in Rebbe and says like that. Kadosh Baruch Hu refers to Godliness, not God. Godliness. An aspect of godliness. What kind of godliness? Soviv, an encompassing light of God. God that is beyond the world. Mesifta de Rakia represents godliness within the world, within the context of the world, the way God fills the world. So from the context of the way God fills the world, what's the world? So what is the given is the world. What is world? Klipa, negativity, right? The shell that covers over on the divine. So therefore, the Mesifta de Rakia, when you have a doubt, you fall back on that's the word I'm looking for. It'll come to me. You fall back on the given. And what's the given? It's the world, impure. So Mesifta Rakia says impure. Got it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the light of God that is Soviv, that's encompassing, that's beyond the world. So what's the reality? What's the given reality? No world, no tuba, no impurities, right? Therefore, when you have a doubt, what will be the perspective there? Tahar, pure, right? Because there is no klipa in that level. It's beyond the world, right? Comes Rabbi Bar Nachmani. He is Yochid. He's the one. He's not Echad. He's Yochid. He's singular. He represents, or his neshama is greater than godliness. Greater than godliness. Not greater than God, but greater than godliness. This rabbi, this sage, right? He was one and unique, meaning he is the embodiment of the essence of God. That's beyond filling the world and beyond encompassing the world, right? Because encompassing means you're encompassing something, that you're relative to it, even though you're beyond it. That's what we're learning this morning in Chassidus at 7:05. He represents Atzmus, the essence of God. And from the essence of God, both Soviv and Memale, pure. That's why he repeats it. Pure on the level of God encompassing, and pure as God is filling the world. Even on that level, the essence of God as he is in this world is pure. So he adjudicates the law because he embodies the higher level, because he has a piece of God in him. We all do, but he lived it, right? He was it, right? We have it, but we try to live with it. And therefore he was able to adjudicate and give the law of what it is. Got it? If you got that, you're pretty good. Now we're going to learn Tanya.